Hi, this is a video for people who want to learn how to make metal trays for Warhammer or Flames War armies using magnetic bases. And I'm going to post on Daka along with the thread that I started there in the painting and modeling forums. So here we have my Space Wolves army on a tray that I built the first time around. I made two trays, one for me and one for my friend's birthday. We're using Gale Force 9 magnetic bases. And this entire army is magnetized so that when you walk around with the tray, the army doesn't fall over at all, which is pretty awesome. And then when I first made this tray, I put it at an angle so that it displays kind of nice at tournaments. Then I made some smaller trays that I sold on eBay, same thing, about that deep. They came out okay, but I learned that you definitely want to screw in the corners, which is kind of a bummer unless you have wood putty, but make sure that the wood putty you buy is sandable. Some wood putty doesn't dry, it just stays wet like Play-Doh. So here we have some smaller trays, and on these I used Gale Force 9 magnets also. And it's pretty great because you can show up with your army at a tournament and be ready to go. And you can flip it upside down. It's pretty strong. The other side also is metal. So if you want to display your army on a bit of a pedestal, that works too. Here's my Dark Angels army. This is 2,000 points. Fits all in one little tray. It makes going to tournaments really nice and easy, setting up and taking down your army. So through Daka, Steve from Maryland ordered some trays, and I made them up for him. These are the Cadillac of metallic metal trays. So he's got handles on them that he picked out and emailed me which handles he wanted from Home Depot. I made him a pair of trays, and I used molding on these because I put plexiglass covers on them that slide really nice. And these metal trays, I got some better metal that doesn't have any blemishes. Other pieces of metal that I got kind of developed little rust spots here and there. As you can see there, there's some little rust spots. So I started to seal them with metal sealer as I made these other ones, and it came out pretty nice. So the molding lets that plexiglass slide back and forth, and then once Steve gets these, I'm going to ship them out tomorrow hopefully, he can peel off this protecting cover. And he's got a nice clear tray, which should make it nice for going out and displaying his army. So this came out pretty well. I was pretty happy with it. I bought better quality wood for this. As you see, there's no knots in this wood, but other wood that I bought sometimes had knots. Like here, that kind of has a blemish, but such is life. So here's how deep Steve's trays are. So if you take a look, it fits a Land Raider pretty nice. Hope that's in focus. Fits even a Death Copter pretty nice. So it's a pretty sweet looking tray. So if you want to learn how to make these, I'll show you in a second. The bummer with these is they're so deep that you have to put screws in them because the wood won't hold this corner, and that's kind of a bummer. I don't really like the way that looks, but you know, what are you going to do? So sometimes you can fill it in with wood putty, but you know, such is life. Anyway, so here's what you need. Chemical wise, or I guess solution wise, you want to get Gorilla Glue for gluing corners. You want to get rust inhibitor so your tray doesn't rust. You want to get wood finish so you pick a nice color. I picked Early American. I don't know if you can see that, but that's the color I like. And polyacrylic sealer. And then I got some of these, and the reason why I'm using these is because these are little plastic things from my hobby shop that are actually hiding underneath this piece of molding. Now, it's kind of funny to demonstrate, but underneath this molding is your plexiglass. But as you can see, there's a little space there, so that's not too tight. And when I put it in, I put that little piece of plastic right there, and it lets the plexiglass slide back and forth. It's not too tight. But if you have any more questions, just PM me. So those are the trays, and here's how you make them. First thing you want to do is buy some wood. You can get different thicknesses. You can get really thick, you can get medium, you can get kind of thinner. These are probably the best ones. And then you can cut your pieces of wood. You want to cut them at 45-degree angles. And this is kind of tough. You definitely want to have your metal tray ready to go. So your first step, as you can see in the forums on Daka, is that you want to take the entire piece of wood before you cut the 45 degrees and cut a little groove all the way down using a table saw and just lower the blade so you can cut that. And that's what the little piece of metal is actually going to slide into. So if you take a look on my frame, see how that metal slides in there? And that way it doesn't fall out of your tray. So you first cut the groove, then you cut the 45-degree angles, and you definitely want to test the shape to make sure that you cut these long enough. If you cut these too short, then you get some funny angles and your tray comes out looking lousy. Alright, so then you've got 4 pieces. So here's 2 long pieces, 2 short pieces, 2, you can do, maybe you want a little tray that's just a foot by a foot by a foot. So you do 4 little pieces like that. And then you want to build yourself a tray like this, where I've fit in the pieces of wood and I've screwed in 2x4s to hold them in place. And that way when I glue them, the glue doesn't push the pieces of wood away from each other. I use screws on the corners to make it even stronger because I don't want these trays to break. One of my friends that I made it for broke, so it was kind of a bummer. So now I use screws, and you see the screw heads when you're done, but that's life. The secret to this whole process is little pieces of cardboard under there. They hold up the metal tray when you slide it in, and that way when you're working with the glue and your fingers are getting sticky and crazy stuff like that, you have a lot easier time sliding that tray and getting it to fit. So, I'm going to take this piece of wood here, slide it in. This is adjustable. Slide that guy in there. And then, once I've glued that corner and glued that corner, now obviously these don't fit because they're different sized pieces of wood, but you're glued them. I would definitely put some wax paper in between these two, or else you're going to turn out gluing this to your frame. Not a good idea. So put some little wax paper in there, and then you slide this guy in there until it fits, and then you'll do the other end like that, and then take another board and strap that in there. Okay, so you can use big clamps or whatever you want for that. And then I would definitely get a strap, like a cloth nylon strap with a clamp on it, and wrap it all the way around to really hold it tight, because you want it tight on the bottom, but you also want it tight on the top, and that way the corner seam comes out even. And that's pretty much it. So there's a couple little tricks that you can get from the forums. But that's pretty much how you make the trays, and definitely price them out. They get expensive. If you get this nice wood and you get molding and you get plexiglass, that gets expensive. So this is a couple dollars a foot, and the molding's probably $2 a foot. Plexiglass is $11 at Home Depot. The metal trays are $11 at Home Depot, but makes it pretty nice to carry your army around. And these I built so that way you could stack them. So that came out pretty sweet, and hopefully Steve really enjoys these. So if you have any other questions, just let me know. Thanks.